Hello everyone, welcome to another 2v2 battle. This is a modified version of the Launchstein's armor division, and I'm bringing the Luminark of Hish division here. So this is a little different than the other one. We have 3 spears in the front right now, we have a spearman in the back, we have 2 great swords in the middle, we have a bright wizard, 2 halberdiers, and I'm also trying out the outriders with grenade launchers and outriders with just the armor piercing rifles as well. We are led by a generic lord. We could call him Launchstein. He leads anything. And then I brought the Bright Wizard here because we're fighting against the Vampire Count and the Chaos player. And the Vampire Count, I was worried that there could be a Death Star, the Cryptor, and Cairn Wraiths. So I think the Bright Wizard is a good counter to that, which is why I brought them here. And also, I like their spells. They're pretty solid. I'm joined by a Greenskin ally who brought 2 Trolls, 2 Goblins, Grimgore, a Shaman, a whole lot of Black Orcs, and then 2 Orc Boar boys at the side. The Vampire Counts brought Manfred von Karstein leading 2 Blood Knights, and then their main line is going to be Skeletal Warriors, backed up by 3 Graveguard with great weapons. We also have a normal Graveguard back here, 2 Skeletal Spearmen, a Cairn Wraith, and a White King. And then the Chaos player brought a lot of Chaos Marauders with great weapons. Was it 5 of them? Which, if these were switched, like, I think that would do a lot of damage to the Black Orcs and maybe trade pretty well into the more costly Black Orcs. I'm not sure how that would go. But anyway, they brought Marauders with great weapons. We have 2 groups of the Spawn, which I think are, I'm sorry, 3 groups of Spawn, which is a pretty solid choice. I think the Spawn are really good. Then we also have a couple Chaos Warriors with Halberdiers here for their anti-large. I'm assuming they were worried about Cav with those. And they are led by Archeon, and they also have 2 Forsaken troops. And I'm going to show this battle off twice because there are going to be 2 separate engagements here. So right now I'm just kind of studying the battle, seeing what the enemy has brought, and I am... Oh, also this is a multiplayer map. One of the new multiplayer maps they introduced with the patch. I don't remember what this one's called, but they're all listed with MP and then the name, so it's easy to find if you want to make your own game and just look for the MP and then you'll see them. But yeah, anyway, I sent off my Outriders because I see that there's no way that they're going to get caught over here. I didn't know about the Blood Knights or Manfred off inside. So I'm just going to try and weaken the enemy over here with my 2 Outriders. Meanwhile, we're going to start Luminark of Hishing Archeon. First hit. Pretty solid. And again, we have 2 of them. And we'll just watch it from this angle. Second Luminark is getting ready to fire. Fire! Second hit. So CA buffed the Luminark of Hish, so I wanted to try it out. Ooh, and that Chaos Spawn just, it just gets it right in the chest. And I think it's down for the count. It's down for the count. So yeah, I just sent my 2 Luminarks to kill Archeon. And they hit a lot. Let me actually pause here. So right now we are getting charged by some Forsaken, some Chaos Spawn, and the Great Marauders and other Chaos Spawn are coming in. Now I do have Halberdiers ready to engage against the Chaos Spawn as well as the Frontliner Spearmen. I put down a Cascading Fire Cloak for my Bright Wizard because it's great. And also the Luminark of Hish. Actually, I don't know if any of these are in range. Let's see. Doesn't look like you're getting the buff. Because it does provide a 12% physical protection around it, but I think all these units are actually... Oh, there we go. The Halberdiers have it. You can see it on the unit card there. And the Spearmen have it. So that's why I kind of put the 2 Luminarks on each side of our army, because they do have that magical aura that aids in resisting things. And we're getting another shot off on Archeon. And there we go. We only missed 1 of the shots so far from the Luminark of Hish and massacred or destroyed Archeon. I didn't mean to get my Bright Wizard in here. I'm going to try and pull him out soon. And we are currently getting flanked on the other side. The Marauders with great weapons, they'll do okay, but their ideal target is more heavily armored infantry like my 2 Greatswords. My Outriders I pulled back to support me in this fight. The grenade launchers can do pretty well against these clumps of Marauders because they are low armored infantry, so that's what I'm going to try and get them to do. And right now I'm assuming that the Luminark's field of fire is just hindered, so they're not actually shooting right now. But that's okay, because so far they have already sniped Harkion the Ever-Chosen, and I'm happy enough as it is. Here goes another Cascading Fire Cloak. I'm going to try and keep this up as long as possible to boost our defenses up. You can see they are really hard to hit at this point, and the enemy has no leader or caster to help them in this. So you can see the Outriders getting into position. The Outriders here, I'm going to get out of there, hopefully. I'm going to have them shoot at the Forsaken, which are more heavily armored and they're more geared to kill. I'm going to try and position the Outrider grenade launchers around this unit to try and get into these great weapon Marauders. Trying to hold off the charge here with the Spearman group to get away from our Luminark of Hish. Another Cascading Fire Cloak going down. My Lord is also in here somewhere. We can see Halberdiers are going to do pretty well against the Chaos Spawn, as well as the Spearmen. This group of Chaos Marauders, or I'm sorry, Chaos Warriors with Halberds do get into my Luminark of Hish, so I quickly pull out of there. And they collide on my Spearmen. I'm bringing over some Halberdiers to deal with the Chaos Warrior, or Chaos Spawn. I think I also bring over this Greatsword unit, which I had do a rear charge on these Chaos Warriors. I'm going to pull them out of this engagement as well to try and help the left side. And here we go. We got some grenades from the Outriders going down. Also got some slowdown there. That's weird. And these Outriders are just shooting into the backs of these Chaos Warriors and Forsaken. And a mass of Marauders with great weapons is really good for these Outriders, because that's what grenade launchers do. We'll probably look at them after the battle. But they're just going to be over here shooting into the sides. Yeah, the Luminark, his shot going down. So this whole clump is just getting shot at by the grenade launchers and the Outriders, and they're just being held off by one Halberdier and Spearman, and they're doing an amazing job. And over here, we're still trying to kill these Spawn. Even though we have Spearmen and Halberdiers with both have a bonus of large, Spawn are still a super solid unit, and they're going to hold on forever. They're unbreakable. Here we go, another Cascading Fire Cloak to keep our troops from getting hit. Getting some sniper shots off with the Luminark of Hish on the retreating units. And my Outriders did a lot of damage to these poor Marauders. My Outriders did a lot of damage to the Marauders. Did I say Marauders did a lot of damage to the Outriders? I'm talking too much. Yes, General. No! Yeah, this is the first time I've really used the Outriders with grenade launchers, and they kind of work. So at this point, I realized that my fight is mostly mopped up, so I'm going to be pulling the Luminarks and my army over to assist the Greenskin player. And let's actually watch that battle before we see how this all ends. So there go my Outriders to try and shoot up the front line of the Vampire Counts, and we have the Orc Boar Boys going through the forest looking for any units in the trees. And I believe they will soon find the Blood Knights. Because there's really nothing to threaten my Outriders here, so I felt pretty confident they could take that. And here's where we reveal the Blood Knights for the first time, including Manfred von Karstein. What's that? That's cool. And the Blood Knights come charging in. So there is a penalty to fight in the trees, but both units should be receiving this penalty. Here comes another Blood Knight charge. This one not as impressive because it's just charging into the back of their allies. But even so, the Blood Knights are a lot better than just standard Orc Boar Boys. You can see that they are losing this fight pretty quickly. As should be expected, really. Like, if they didn't, then there's a problem. What's dropping on them? Oh, Curse of Years, okay. Let's go out to the main engagement here. So, like I said, there are a ton of Black Orcs here. The Graveguard with great weapons is a decent counter to them, but there are a lot more Black Orcs than there are Graveguard currently. And we got both troll units on the left side here. This is a good call because there is a Graveguard unit that is anti-infantry, anti-armor, so the trolls are going to do really well against them. Because they are neither. They're not well-armored or infantry, so a lot of the damage of the Graveguard is It's still gonna hit, like armor piercing still hits, but their base damage is pretty low, which is why they're generally not as good against low armor units. So I really like this mix of putting the trolls and the goblins together. I like that. Can Racer in the middle here. They are armor piercing. But even so, and they even got a buff. I don't think I mentioned this before, but they are 80% resistant to physical now. But even that is not enough to counter the massive damage of the Black Orcs right here. Also, I think a spell went down on them as well from the Shaman. Meanwhile, in the forest, the Orc Boys have come back, and they are being supported by some Black Orcs. But the Blood Knights did pull out of the forest at this point. And they're just kind of waiting in the back. And you can see, even though Graveguard are a counter technically to Black Orcs just because they're armor piercing and anti-infantry, the Black Orcs are still just stronger. Like, Black Orcs are just super tough. We got the White King in the middle here. Karen Ray's doing okay. They did manage to rout the Orc Shaman. Here comes Man from Karstein to try and help his right flank over here against the trolls. And then the Blood Knights get a charge off against these Black Orcs, but they took a lot of damage. Even though they have a very high charge bonus, they are shot cav. The problem is they're not armor piercing, so a lot of their damage is being absorbed by the very high armor of the Black Orcs. So they actually are losing out on this engagement, even though they're getting the charge off with that 72 charge bonus I think they have. Then the Orc Boys come back from routing and charge into the Blood Knights, but they are backed up by Black Orcs this time. And those Black Orcs just deal so much damage. At this point, the Karen race are crumbling. But they did do a lot of damage to the Black Orcs. They are armor piercing. They did do some stuff. Grimgore is into Manfred von Karstein here. And Manfred is running away, which is a good idea. Blood Knight's coming in for a rear charge against Grimgore. And the Shaman. Ooh, nice of the Shaman. Now the Blood Knights should do really well against trolls. But by the time they get in here, there's so much in this fight that I doubt many hits are actually getting on the trolls. But they should do really good. Over here, the other Blood Knight was forced to withdraw a little bit, and it got caught again against these Black Orcs. This fight is still raging on, but the Black Orcs are going to pull through this fight. You can see at this point I wrapped up the Chaos player, so I'm moving my army in to support my ally here. And Manfred decided to charge into the fray. Blood Knight's going around for another charge. And they're trying to do what they can against these trolls. It's a good idea to charge them into the trolls. I am buffing my ally up here with the Cascading Fire Cloak. My Bright Wizard is now in range. And I decided to try and shoot at Manfred here. Yeah. That troll had a bad day. But it's at this point that the Blood Knights do get mopped up by the Black Orcs and Grimgore, and now Manfred decides to run. And it's the only unit left. That poor troll just got it right in the face. And so I'm going to send my Luminark of Hiss to try and snipe it. We get a shot off over here. But it hits the tree. But this one should have a clear field of fire, and I just want to show you how much health Manfred has.
It will be done.
Yep. Yep. And that's the battle. Let's check the kill count here. So, MVP is on my side, Luminark of Hish, both of them. Now, I didn't bring 4. In my armored division, I do bring 4 steam tanks, but I thought that may be a little bit of overkill since the Luminarks are geared just to deal single target, whereas the cannons are a little bit more, I don't know, they could do more things. So I only brought 2 of them, and wow, that was more than enough. So they sniped Archeon, they sniped Manfred, and still on top of that, they managed to get 67 kills with this one. A couple of those were against Chaos Spawn, which is a huge kill, and then 22 on this one. So did they pay for themselves? Probably. Archeon is 2100 gold by himself, and just the amount of support he can bring to an army because he is a firecaster, or a fire lore, and on top of that, an amazing warrior. So getting him out of the battle before it started is huge. So I think they more than paid up for themselves. The kills here on the Outriders with grenade launches 43 is pretty good, and overall they just do a lot of health damage against those Chaos Marauders. And the Outriders getting 26, they didn't really get much time actually firing. They were mostly moving for most of that, but they did get some kills, I'm assuming, against the Forsaken, because that's the ones I sent them against. My Great Swords did amazing. I'm really happy with them. Spears did pretty well. Some of them did pretty good. Others were probably outclassed by the Forsaken, but that's fine. They're just there to hold. I don't expect my spears to kill anybody, really, but I'm just happy if they get any. The Lord managed to get 17. Way to go, Launchstein. And the Bright Wizard got 3 in melee. That's pretty good. But he was really valuable just for buffing on my army and keeping them alive while we tried to crush the Chaos. Speaking of, the Chaos player, poor Archeon, man. Poor Archeon, didn't have a chance. The Chaos Marauders, that's okay kills, but again, they were up against the Spearmen, and that is not their ideal target, at least not the great weapons. If these were normal Marauders, I think they would have done a lot better against my army composition. If they went against the Orc player, I think they would have done much better as well, because they are all anti-armor, and they're relatively cheaper than the Black Orcs, so I think that would have been a good trade there. Forsaken, one of the groups, managed to get a lot of kills. The Halberds, they never really got into an ideal target. They're supposed to be anti-armor, armor-piercing, so getting into heavy armored cav or armored trolls, things like that. But they were stuck with fighting basically infantry and some of the gray swords, so they didn't really get a chance to shine too much, but they did rank up, unless those ranks were bought before the game. If they weren't, then they did a lot of damage, actually, for ranking up that much. And a couple of the Chaos Spawn did pretty good. The other one didn't, I guess, get a chance to. Our other opponent, Manfred, 20 kills is pretty good. Skeletal Warriors didn't get anything, but they weren't supposed to. They were there to take the charge of the Greenskins and wear the damage, and they did. Skeletal Spearmen didn't really do too well. The Grave Guard with great weapons, they're just outclassed by Black Orcs. So, yeah, they didn't really get too many kills, although most of those kills are probably against Black Orcs. That's a lot of Black Orcs dead. That's pretty good. But, yeah, they just don't have enough Grave Guard with great weapons to swing that in their favor, because, again, they're just outclassed. And then the Blood Knights getting a decent amount of kills against Orc Boar Boys, and then Black Knights or Black Orcs for the most part, so that is pretty good. Karen Race, unfortunately, only got 7 kills. But I think they got hit by the Shaman with a couple spells, which really dropped them down pretty quickly. So that was unfortunate for them. And then my ally, 97 kills on Grimgore. A lot of that was probably against the Spearmen and the Skeletal Warriors on the left flank, because I think that's where he was focused through the most part of that. The Goblins did really well because they were put up against Skeleton Warriors for the most part, so they did super well. My god, these Black Orcs. I think these were the 2 that were put into the forest to try and support the Cav fight, but the main line Black Orcs just... Black Orcs are so strong. So strong. Like, there's a reason you will see them spammed. Because of this. And the Vampire Counts... Man, what can they do against Black Orcs? Fate of Buna, but there's so many Black Orcs that even the Fate of Buna, well, I mean, it would help with the Grave Guard. You have answers. There's answers to Black Orcs. The Orc Boar Boys didn't get too much damage because they were put up against Blood Knights, and they were way outclassed. And the Trolls got a lot of kills against the Skeletal Spearmen and Grave Guard on the left flank, so they did really well as well. So good game to my opponents. Let's actually take a look at that Luminark of Hish. What I did this time, I don't know why you're in there. Most of the time, when I make a theme, I just create an entire army and then just put it up against whoever opponent that I'm facing. And I don't really change it because I like the theme. This time, I just made a template, so I knew that I wanted to bring these units to the battle, no matter what. I just didn't know what caster I wanted, so I didn't choose the Bright Wizard until I saw that we were up against the Vampire Counts. And I was like, we could get a Death Ball here, or a Death Star, I think people call it. So I decided to bring the Bright Wizard to counter that, but we didn't get that, which was surprising. But anyway, I like the templates design and being able to give yourself enough money to modify the build depending on who you fight. So There's an idea. I don't know. Anyway, the Luminark of Hish. Missile damage. We have 1,000 missile damage, 1,000 armor piercing, 1,000 explosive, and 1,000 explosive armor piercing. This is probably why they could take out the heroes pretty quickly. They shot Manfred down in one hit. Now, he was injured a little bit, but one hit, boom, he was gone, which is pretty nice. Now, the reason I never brought these before is because I tried them out early in the launch of this game, and they couldn't even hit giants. Like, they would hit them once out of every few shots, so they were not that accurate. And I was like, I don't know if it's really going to be worth it. But now, maybe CA went a little overboard? I don't know, like, they only missed once. Technically twice, because one shot through the forest and was intercepted by the trees. Those damn trees. I mean, hell, we even hit the troll. Like, they're so good that they'll hit friendlies in the face and just bring them down. I love that moment. It cracks me up seeing that troll just get hit. But anyway, Luminark-ish may be really worth it. And I think an army where it is a Luminark and then you also bring a steam tank instead of 2 Luminarks could be pretty good as well. I may have to try that. But anyway, let's also look at these Outriders. And I think I like the Outriders more than the Handgunners. Now, the Handgunners technically have more damage output because they have more numbers. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. You know, I don't know if that's true. They may have 68 people to the unit, which is more than 45. But if you look at their reload speed, it's 10.8 seconds. But the Outriders, I think, have like 5.4. Now, all their damage is the same. They're using the same kind of guns. But the Outriders shoot half at, or I guess 100% faster. I may have to try and do a test to see which one actually does more DPS. So the reason why this shows more missile damage is because they fire faster. I think technically that Outriders do more damage then, right? If you have 45 shooting quicker than 68, yeah, like just the numbers add up to the Outriders potentially being able to do more damage. Also, the Handgunners, you can put them in front of your army and they may get 1, 2, maybe 3 salvos off before you're forced to withdraw them. And then after that, unless you're playing on a hill, they can't fire over the heads of your people, so you have to kind of put them out on the flanks to get flanking fires, and then they're going to be exposed that way. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think I would just rather spend the extra 100 and get Outriders, now that I'm really looking at it. You get Vanguard deployment. They're fast. And potentially, if they're not being threatened... I guess they do have less ammunition, though. But if they're not being threatened, like, they can... It seems like they could pour more DPS out than Handgunners can. I don't know. That's interesting. But anyway, I think I really like the Outriders. And then the other one, the grenade launchers for 800 are really good against those Marauders because they have a very low base damage. The actual projectile of the grenade doesn't do much. But the explosive base damage of 30 and then armor piercing of 12 is really good against soft targets like the Marauders. So that was really good. Now, if the Chaos player brought a bunch of just heavily armored troops, this wouldn't do as much. But they didn't, so... I don't know, the grenade launcher worked out in this case. I think that's all I really wanted to go over. I'm trying to think. We can look at the Blackworks. And why they're so crazy. So for 1,000, you get an angry, high HP, high armor, high leadership, decent speed, melee attack of 34, and melee defense of 22. On the charge, though, they have a 30 charge as an infantry. Like, that's almost approaching some of the lower tiers of, like, Cav. And their weapon strength is really high armor piercing, 30 and then 12 base. So they are just super scary. Super scary. 110 armor, man. For only 1,000 cost, they are really just a solid unit. I think that's really all I wanted to go over. I think. Yeah. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the Luminark of Hish. It is truly the sniper of the battlefield. And against vampire accounts, I would be... really tempted to always bring at least one because they love to fly around and they're like, haha, we're casting spells, and I'm like, haha, I'm shooting you with a giant beam of death. So I don't know, I may try Luminark to counter the flying vampire counts. I think that would be pretty funny to snipe them out of the air. Oh, that'd be so satisfying as they're coming up to your arm and they're like, I'm gonna spirit leech you, or I'm gonna fate Abuna you, and you just pop, and you just see the little vampire lady just fall. Oh, it's going to be glorious. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody. I'll see you all next time. I hope you all have a good day.